but I think if we did the ECR method, the encoding consolidation method, we should still have a very, very powerful grasp on the name over here. Panthera tigris jacksoni. Panthera tigris jacksoni. Awesome, awesome. And one final question before we start our session for today. What is this person's name? What is this person's name? Beautiful. Wow. So everyone has everything got into their long-term memory. That's awesome. So comment down wow if you still remember all three of the question. Okay, so a little bit of brain gymnastic. Hopefully you're still remembering all of the informations that we have shared with you. And today is going to be a very, very interesting sharing session. Today is our education expert session. And for today, I always believe that, you know, around the world, there are a lot of exceptional educators around the world. And I have been very blessed to be able to meet with many of them. So very fortunately, we are able to invite one of these exceptional educators. And she's all the way from the US, Miami, although she's from Colombia. But she actually exemplified a lot of the creative learning techniques that we have been discussing all around the sessions previously. And she's going to be sharing with us a lot of sketchnoting methods, which in a way, if you still remember, mind mapping and the river flow note-taking method, these are what we call the very basics of note-taking. And what she shared with us previously in our sessions together with her, I was really mind blown on how she's able to allow all these methods to be able to make classroom learning so much fun and much more interesting for her students in class. So today we are very fortunate to invite this educator to share with us her techniques on how she can engage her students and also to make classroom learning much more fun and impactful. So if you are ready for our next educator, our expert educator, comment down ready if we are you're ready to kickstart the session for today. And teachers, remember to prepare your paper and pencil. Sediakan kertas dengan pencil because we're going to do a lot of drawing and a lot of activities together with our session for today. Okay, so Wen Ping, I'm very, very excited to kickstart the program for today. Let's do a quick introduction for our exceptional and expert educator that we are about to feature for today.
Okay, so without further ado, I would bring in my introduction very, very quickly. So teachers, bear with me. I will share the screen right now. And there you go.
Yes.
So what's going to happen?
Teachers, comment down below if you have heard of the term sketchnoting before. Comment down yes if you have heard of the term sketchnoting before. If X, if you have never heard of it before. Okay, so Wen Ping, back to you. Yeah.
Okay, so today is all about sketchnoting. We are at the second session, and today we have Miss Valeria Rodriguez, all the way from Miami, Florida, United States, with the topic of drawing connections with the world around us, or drawing connections using the art of sketchnoting. Right, so a brief introduction about Miss Valeria. Miss Valeria is a science teacher at St. Stephen's Episcopal State School, educator, instructional technologist, graphic facilitator, sketchnoting expert, and content amplifier. She's also an education professional at Leadership Florida, book author and illustrator of virtual storybook How They Get In There, and space educator at Expedition Crew Program Space Center Houston, United States in 2017. Here are some of the sketchnote examples from Miss Valeria, so teachers can have a look. And who knows, after today, after hearing the tips and techniques from Miss Valeria, you and your students can also produce these kind of notes, effective learning notes, sketchnoting, and it's very, very meaningful and personalized for you. Yes, Miss Leo saying, wow, W-O-W. After you seeing this, you can also produce these notes after today, right? With proper practice, with proper techniques as well. Right, so not only that, Miss Valeria also organized visual summary workshop with her students as well, and her students are able to produce their own personalized sketch notes as well after the session. And she's also a published author and illustrator of the storybook of how they get in there. Also co-contributors of the How to Sketch Note step-by-step manual for teachers and students. So teachers, are you ready to invite our expert educator today, Miss Valeria, to go on board and start today's session? If you're ready, comment down READY ready with your very, very enthusiasm, and we will invite Miss Valeria to be on board. Yes, thank you teachers for your response. And without further ado, let us welcome Miss Valeria Rodriguez to on board and say hi to teachers and kickstart the event for today.
Hi,
Valeria,
thank you.
hi. Yes. So
So
first of
much
all, I
for
want
that intro.
caught you by surprise. Yeah, we didn't really let you know the whole introduction, right? So just to let teachers have idea over here, what time is it like at your time over here, Miss Valeria?
It's 9:41 p.m.
Yes, that is a very, very, we are very grateful for you to be able to connect with us despite the time zone difference. We are in a very early morning, and then teacher Valeria, Miss Valeria is at the 9:45 p.m. supposed to be asleep very, very soon,
Yes.
right? So just before we kickstart, I just want to find out from Valeria, for the teachers as well, how do you like start your education journey? Like what makes you become an educator in a short summary?
When I graduated from college, as a biologist, I had the opportunity to take a job with the U.S. Peace Corps in Panama. And all Peace Corps volunteers have to teach as a secondary job. My primary job was in sustainable agriculture, and my secondary job was teaching in the classroom and teaching educators in my community to learn English so that they could continue teaching. And I realized that it's the most sustainable way to create change.
Wow, that is very powerful. Most sustainable way to create change. And all the teachers over here, 73 educators over here, you are creating a change as well. So together, we will learn from Miss Valeria today, what can we do with sketchnoting in your classroom as well. So many teachers are saying hi, are saying nice to meet you to Valeria over here. Very, very nice.
I see another biologist in aquatic biology. Oh,
yes,
cool.
We have Mr. Rod Z over here, teacher Rod Z over here. Right, so without further ado, I will pass the session to Valeria, and you may kickstart and greet the teachers in the Zoom chat and also using the Telegram as well. So over to you, Valeria.
Okay, thank you. Good morning to you guys. Good evening in Houston. I know there's somebody from Houston here. And so I'm going to share my screen to get started. Oh, not that. Let me share.
So many teachers are asking, are you in LA? But yeah, Miss Valeria actually in Miami, right? At your own house.
I'm in Miami. I used to live in LA. I lived in Texas, in California, in Panama, and now I'm back in Miami. So
right.
I'm going to, you guys can see the screen there?
Yep.
Okay, in this setup, I can't see the chat. So if there's anything in the chat that I should know about, just chime in. So I met with you guys a few times, and we discussed what the teachers had been working on. And so I adapted my presentation a little bit so that we would be working a little bit more on how to do the sketch notes, because I've seen that you guys already have a lot of background on why this is important. I'll quickly give you some of the reasons why I think it's important. But before we get started, I just wanted us to take a deep breath in and exhale slowly. Obviously, using a sketch, I try to remind myself to be present Sometimes there's a lot of things going on outside of this time that can distract us. So if we can just decide to put everything aside for a little bit and be here now together. Take one more deep breath in. Exhale slowly. All right. So again, thank you guys for letting me be a part of this academic experience. 3 things we will talk about today or focus on today are the importance of sketchnoting, how to implement them into your classrooms, and I'll show you some examples of how I've used them. This right here is a way that I introduce myself at the beginning of the year to my students or whenever I have a presentation. And it's also a way for me to get to know my students. So I place myself in the middle of this thought bubble or this mind map. I'm sure you guys recognize the basic background shape. And I share with my students, like I'll share with you guys, that I'm a mother, I'm a daughter, my family's from Colombia, I'm a space enthusiast, and I like to think that I'm contributing to the journey to Mars through my students' research. I'm a content amplifier because I like to share and expand on what people create, think, write, share. I'm an educator, specifically a science educator, and as well sketchnoting. I'm an artist, an athlete, triathlete, currently training for an Ironman, my first Ironman, which is swim, bike, run, and an author and illustrator. So I have my own children's book, and I'm currently working on my 3rd book as an illustrator. 1 that's already been published and 2 that are on the way. So now that you know a little bit about me, I'd love for you guys to try to create something simple. Now, I don't need you guys to elaborate with images, but if you want to create the circle with some lines coming out of it and write your name and some things that identify you, you can choose 3 or 4 things that identify you. Then you can later, when we're done with the session, you can add images to it if you like, or maybe when you go to use this with your students, you can add the images while you are doing it with them. So you can try right now and see how it goes for you.
Okay, so fellow teachers, you can try to create something like Miss Valeria. Miss Valeria, can you flash the screen again with the examples? Yes. So I think it's icon in the middle represent you, and then the description or the positions or the usual you that represent you that you can illustrate, and then we can have a very quick telegram. So you snap a picture of your sketch over here and then put it into the telegram group, which is the Score A Faber-Castell Expert Sharing Session group, right? So how much time do we have, Valeria, to get the teachers moving?
Do 3 minutes. Let's do 3 minutes.
All right.
And you're going to insert your name and then a few lines. Remember, you can use text to simply put something, and then later you can insert an image.
Okay, there's a teacher asking, can we use Doodle for sketching?
Doodle. Is that an application?
I think it's an ad, right?
Yeah,
Teacher
you
Roxy?
can use anything that writes. I tell my students they can even use a chisel as long as they don't chisel onto their desk.
Okay. So I put this into the Telegram group as well as the example. And then I'll share some music. Teachers, you may start now to put in your form of sketch into the Telegram group. Miss Liao is asking, is this the iPad that Valeria is using?
Yes, I'm using an iPad Pro with an Apple Pen.
Yeah, so but no worries. Hari ini kita boleh. So no worries, teachers. You can use anything that you have, even a paper and pen, right? A marker pen or the Faber-Castell toolkit, and any pens that you love from there. And yeah, snap a picture and can send to the Telegram group in 3 minutes.
So I started my timer a little bit after, and we're about a minute from when I started the timer.
So we have 2 minutes left.
Yep.
Okay.
Do we share the screen?
They are having the example in the group already. And meanwhile, in the 2 minutes, I will share some music for the teachers as well.
Perfect.
Okay, we have the first one already, which is by teacher Gore. Later on, I will share to Valeria in one
Okay.
go. Like once all the teachers have submitted their sketch. Awesome, teacher Gore, very efficient, and then it represents you as well with the sketch. Yes, we have the second teacher submitting in already. So teachers, feel free to explore with this activity over here. Sketch about yourself. Are you a mother? Are you a father? Are you a mother of two? Are you a book author? Are you a teacher of 100 students? You can always illustrate that in the sketch.
And I know I threw you guys into sketching right off the bat, but it's so that you could see how you can redo this activity later once you have gotten some extra tips. And then you can see how you yourself can elaborate your own activities.
Yes. And their teacher asking, may I know, can I use other shapes? For example, hexagon?
Yes, any shapes.
Wow, there are a few teachers something in already. Is that 1 minute left from your timer, Valeria?
Oh, we're done.
Oh, actually, the time is up. Okay,
Yes,
no worries.
good.
So we'll share the Telegram group right now. So teachers, feel free to submit in, right? Feel free to keep it coming, keep it coming. All right, so we will have the first one. Teacher Gore.
Beautiful.
Yeah, Teacher Gore has an acronym of GPS over here. Very interesting acronym of your name, teacher. And she's a teacher, she's an artist, she loves novels, and sometimes stay at home, eat, and travel. Awesome.
Ooh, travel.
All right. From what I know, Valeria just finished traveling, right? From somewhere.
Yeah.
Right. We have teacher Raza, teacher, runner, introvert. Yes. Okay. Very quickly, I'll run through with all the teachers. Teacher Ong. Food, love spicy food. Wow. This is Shah Alam, is it? S Alam. Right. And then teacher, music, arts. Wow. Teacher Sim, a mother, a sister, a wife, a teacher. Teacher Jane, musician. Wow. What music instruments do you play, Teacher Jane? Chef and baker, gardener. Green fingers over here. Wow. Teacher Ismailiza, Teacher Kelly, Pets. All right. Teacher Mimi, Teacher Rose, Rosliza. 160 students. Wow. Awesome. Okay. So, Valeria, what do you think about teacher's sketch over here?
These are amazing. And what I love most is that we have so much already from the world around us that gives us clues about how to sketch and how to organize things, that we haven't even discussed some of the containers and things like that that you're using naturally. So I'm excited to see how we can add more tools to your tool belt, but you guys are already at a great start.
Yeah, so teachers are already exploring like with the shapes, with the lines, and then with something that represent themselves, very personalized with them. Yep, so I'll let Valeria to share with teachers more about other tools and other techniques that teacher can use in your sketches.
Perfect. So I'm going to come up here. So just how some of you guys drew on paper and took a picture of it, you can also see in this format. I've also done it on paper with markers and uploaded our agenda for the day. Our plan is to talk about what sketchnotes are, which you guys have a basic idea of why we sketchnote, how to get started, and some takeaways. So what are sketchnotes? I'll play this video clip as we discuss it, but I want you guys to see a few things in this video. As I play it, I want you to not just listen to the information that I'm going to share, but notice the format in which I'm sharing it. I am time-lapsing a video of me writing notes so I can write them slower and then put in a video that does it faster so that I can present information and my students can hear me say it as they see me writing it. And I'm not writing it slowly on the board. So I use Sketchnotes not just as a way to present information in a different way, but also to provide a visual aid for me while I'm teaching. So what are Sketchnotes? They're visual notes in different formats, using handwriting, different types of handwriting or fonts, different shapes and dividers. And it's not just writing notes, but synthesizing information. Sketchnotes are not art. And if you notice in the video as well, the shading changes because I did that in my backyard and the lighting changed, and students always bring that up. They're like, why did you change the lighting? And the reason I present it that way and I left it instead of fixing it was to show them that it's a process. And later they see other videos that I've made and they see how that process has changed over time. And it's a learning moment as well for students when you show your own progress as you improve through different things. Okay, so why do we sketchnote? We sketchnote for different reasons. People pay attention longer when their eyes and their brain have something to do. Pictures we know are worth 1,000 words because our mind is able to process images that we see a lot faster, a lot more than what we hear. Visual notes allow us to filter and synthesize information and organize the connections on the paper we have in front of us. It allows us to share and spread ideas clearly with others because sometimes what we are saying is interpreted or heard differently. And so when we see on paper, we can literally get on the same page with other people. And we remember 80% of what we see and only 10% of what we hear. And visuals are a powerful way to reinforce different ideas. So there's a lot of research to back this up, and I will share this with your lead educators so that they can share it with you. But there's tons of research to back up why visuals are important, despite the hesitation that some people have had in the past. Some educators, my own teachers when I was in high school, I remember getting sent to the office for coloring during class, but I wasn't coloring, I was taking notes. I started note taking like this ever since I was little, because my parents didn't speak English, and my dad would explain concepts to me through drawing them out. And then when I would get to school, when I had to explain them, I didn't have the vocabulary to explain them, so I would also draw them out to explain. And then as I would point and draw and say things, then people would say words, and I'd gather more words to add to my bank of vocabulary. So even though I was born here in the States, I didn't learn English until I was in school. Okay, so memory and retention. We've already discussed this briefly. I'm sharing this sketch so that you could see how you can share concepts differently. But how do memories form? Well, neurons fire together, and when they're activated together, that link is established and that connection is made. And so when you're seeing something, hearing something, drawing something, you're connecting all of those, linking all of those together. If this happens repeatedly, then a network is formed, and it leads you to forming a memory. And that's also why I like creating sketch notes with my students in class, because I want them to create a network of memories from the time that they're with me. Because if you think about 1 year in a student's journey, it's a blimp in the time that they have. And I want their time, their very short amount of time that they're with me, to create some solid lifelong memories. So sketch notes are sketches and words together that helps unleash creativity. And the reason why creativity is important, I'll summarize this slide for you. The most successful people are considered people that are innovative, that are problem solvers, that can find solutions to things that other people can't see. And so if we can get our students, we can give them a leg up in their careers, if we can give them a leg up in their communities, if we can give them a leg up in their day-to-day by helping them be more creative and better problem solvers and more confident in their abilities, then we're already doing a spectacular job. So this slide as well, I'll share with your team so that you guys can read through it calmly. So again, sketchnoting allows you to share your process. I believe that the result isn't the only thing that matters, especially as a scientist. The process matters. In scientific method, you share your entire process. And at the end, your conclusion is if you accept or reject your hypothesis and what you think would happen, but there's no right or wrong. And it's the same thing with sketchnoting. The same principles get shared in sketchnoting. There's no right or wrong way to sketchnote. You share your process. And at the end, somebody will say, I accept or I reject this interpretation of the information, but that's on them. You have the ability to share your process and enjoy your journey of synthesizing the information. So if you think you can't draw, it's okay, because for sketchnoting, it's not an art. It's about making the thinking visible. So how do you get started? Since we've already taken up a lot of time, basics, you need something to write on, something to write with, and something to write about. Now, if you notice in the write about, there's a light bulb, there's a box with a circle and a triangle that I use to represent a video, and there's a person, because you need something to write about, whether it's an idea, a video, or somebody that you hear, or somebody that you want to discuss or write about. Some of the tools that I use in my class are flashcards, science notebooks. I use regular composition notebooks for my students for their journals. I use Post-its when I have something small that I want my students to quickly write on. I'll put Post-its on their table so that they can brainstorm some ideas. Obviously, sketch pads are great, but that's if you have access to them. If not, any kind of paper works well. There's different kinds of markers that you'll see are help you work faster when you're sketchnoting, like the pens that are double tipped because they have a thick side and a thin side of the same color, so you can just quickly switch back and forth for emphasis. But Sharpies work, pens, and a stylus if you're using an iPad. And if you notice, I didn't put pencil on here. Does anybody have any ideas why? Maybe you can put it on the chat. Excellent. So, correct. What I don't put pencil because even my students who are in third grade, my youngest students are in third grade. I don't want them to spend the whole time erasing. And I want them to gain confidence in the lines that they place, because I don't know how it is in Malaysia, but here in Florida, I've taught in California and in Florida, and what I've noticed is that the students are very risk averse. They don't want to make a mistake. And so they will draw a line and erase it until they think the line is perfect. However, the idea behind sketchnoting is that you are not drawing, you are writing down ideas, and all the lines that you put down on your paper are contributing to a bigger picture. And so there's no mistakes. It's just another take on the image that you're creating. And so that is something that needs to be learned and practiced, because kids are in school are taught to, what is the right answer? Give me the right answer. This is, give me the process. Just write the line. Is this correct? It's fine. It's on the paper. It's great. Move on to the next line. So what do I specifically use for creating my notes and my videos and my assignments and things like that? I prefer mixed media notebooks because the paper is a little bit thicker and it won't go, my notes, depending on the markers that I use, it won't go through. Just like you see here, there's apparatus that you can put on your desk and it holds your phone. And I put my phone on time lapse to record my visuals. Now, fortunately, I have an iPad and an Apple Pen, which changed everything. So I can record. There's apps that record your screen, and from those videos that it creates, I put those in other apps that move the video faster, 4 times, 8 times faster, things like that, like in WeVideo, and then I can add text and voiceover, things like that. But these are the things that I specifically use. Again, this is more detailed later on. If anybody is interested and wants to connect through Twitter or Instagram, we can, go into more specifics, or maybe next summer we can have Sketchnoting 2.0 and go into specifics. So I'm going to share this video, and then I'll pause it a second so that we can discuss you guys can take notes on this information. But the main thing that I'm going to share right now is how to structure your notes. So there's a few different things that you can use to structure your notes. And I'll share with you the way I share with my students. So for example, I'm going to tell you right now to take notes, but this is the first time that you're going to see this video. So you don't know what you're taking notes on. So just the way I would show it in class, I would show it one time so that you get an idea. Then we'll discuss to see kind of how you're going to lay out your paper. And then we watch it again so that you can add the information. Okay. So we'll play this little clip and then you'll take out your papers and we will discuss how you will lay out your page. Okay. All right, so how to structure your sketch notes. Again, this first run, you're just going to watch and listen. So we're going to use dividers, which means using boxes, lines, using anything that can separate one thing from another. Arrows to help direct your attention and give your notes direction. Use different types of text or fonts. We're going to use icons throughout the notes. And these are examples. And we're also going to use bullets. You can also use numbering so that you can guide your notes, obviously, and color. Okay, so did you see how at the end we had, at the end of this, we had 6 things that we wrote down, or that I wrote down, right? I'll pause it right here. We had 6 things that I wrote down. So I would tell my students, okay, so in this video, 6 things were discussed. You can decide how you want to place your notes. You can put a circle in the middle with how do you structure notes, and then you can put 6 lines coming out of it. You can do it like you can do it in the same format that I did it, which was just moving from one thing to the next. Or you can just list, you know, put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and list the 6 things: dividers, arrows, fonts, icons, bullets, and colors. So now I'm going to switch over to my iPad so that we can do it together and you can take the notes. And again, this is how I would do it with my students. And you can let me know if this is too much or if you feel comfortable. And if it's too much, you can also just watch, and later on at your own pace, you can try it. All right, so you can do it in the same way that I did it. I'm going to give you the different options. So option 1 is just list the 6 ways to structure your notes. Option 2 you can put how to structure your notes with 6 lines around it. Option 3 you can copy the format that I had on the presentation, on the video. Okay. So whichever way you want to do it, I would set up my paper. And then when I play the video, you can fill in the lines. And again, you don't have to play everything because the point is to synthesize. When you're presenting, you share more information. When you're taking notes, you're reducing the amount of information. So I'm going to stop sharing this and I'm going to go back over to here. Okay. Actually, what I can do is, this is much easier. I'll leave it here and you can insert this information into your notes in whatever format you picked. So for the first part, dividers, arrows, text and font, icons, bullets. Oh, there's actually 7. Sorry about that. So I'm going to put a timer here for 3 minutes. So that we can All right, about halfway done. A minute left. All right. So I don't know if they've started sharing any on the chat.
All right. So, fellow teachers, just for the benefits of those just joined in or something like that, so we just clarify for this activity is that we are making notes, a sketch note about these 7 tips, right? 7 tips of how to sketch note. So, teacher can feel free to use the list format or this format that Valeria is showing, right? The 6 lines over a circle. Yes, option 1, option 2, and option 3 as well. So we have the first teachers sending in already in the Telegram group. So once you have done, teachers, keep it coming in the Telegram group so we can showcase your work as well, right? So remember, like what Valeria has shared with us just now, Miss Valeria has shared with us just now, it's not about the art, it's not about how beautiful it is, it's about how you make your note personalized and effective for yourself. So after today, you can make a very, very effective note. So every time you walk away from a event or from a seminar, you can have the takeaways. You can have the takeaways to your home as well. Right. So we have the second teacher showing us the video of your sketch note. Right. So fellow teachers, maybe we'll give you a little bit of time, one more minute to submit into the Telegram about the notes of how to structure your sketch note. You can have three options. It's a list format, or it's the circle and lines format, and also the flow format, right? Okay. So let's have a look with the first three teachers first in the Telegram group. And we'll ask Miss Valeria, like, what do you think about it? All right. So there you go. We have the teachers.
How beautiful it is.
Oh, teacher, you can snap a picture instead of the video so that we can see it clearly, right? I think teachers is starting on with the
Ooh,
format
I see.
over here. And this one by teacher artist with Sata. The seven,
Awesome.
yes, the 7 notes.
And I like the use of the two colors.
Right, the red and blue as well. And I like the light bulb. There's an icon over here already.
Mhm.
Yes. So next one we have teacher Liao, Sketchnote tips. And this is like a sketching over here from teacher Liao. AFIDCB. This is a acronym method, right? Right.
Yeah, that
Simplifying
works
method.
too. Roman numerals also work.
Yes. All right. What do you think about this,
Look at
Valeria?
this, even with color.
Yeah. So different colors. See, the teachers are exploring your ideas over here. Okay, so other
Excellent.
teachers feel free to submit in, and then we will showcase later on. So we'll let teacher Valeria, Miss Valeria, to go on first with the content.
All right. So move on to the next part. So one of the things that I hope you're starting to realize is that the structure of your sketch notes can help you. Just think about your body, right? Our skeleton gives us our structure, and it helps us to develop or perform a specific function, right? So you have to think about what the goal is of your notes, what the goal is of your visual, so that it can serve that function. And when you have it serve that function, you can see that multiple structures together form a system, and they interact in different ways. And so this format that you see on the screen right now is a little bit about how I think about, how I brainstorm when I go to prepare a presentation, when I go to prepare notes for my students. Like, what do I want them to accomplish? And what structure do they need? What systems need to be in place to support them? And how are the notes with the learning going to interact? So going back a little bit to the structures, these are more specific structures. Like you can think of this as little tiny bones, right, in the body. So we have some that are dividers, some that are containers. Like the dividers, you can think of it all the membranes in our body. And again, I'm coming from the science background, so please excuse me if it's too sciencey. You have different types of bullets. You can use anything as a bullet. I don't know if you guys use the same term or terminology when you're making a list of things. Whatever you put at the beginning, we call them bullets. And then font sizes and shape, you'll see on the next page, on the next slide. But we see this all the time with magazines, with books. For example, in the books that you look at, the title isn't in tiny letters because we want to emphasize the importance of the title. So it's in big letters, in bold letters. The stop sign doesn't have, tiny letters. It has big letters because it's very important for cars to stop at an intersection to prevent people from dying. So we already have a lot of sketchnoting ingrained into our system. We just need to be more intentional about it and help our students be more aware about it. And then people, I had this in the presentation so that you could see how actions can be used to determine to help you synthesize words. But we'll get to that if we have time, but it's also not as necessary for getting started. So about fonts, do you see how I emphasize with the size of the information? And I can use capital letters or lowercase letters depending on what I want your brain to focus on. And if you check out magazines, websites, and books for ideas, you'll see that there's so many different types of fonts available. And you can have a lot of fun by imitating some of those fonts that are already around you. So if you want to take a minute to write down, maybe like, I am a blank teacher, like whatever kind of teacher you are, but use different different sizes, different typography for each of those words. So I am a science teacher, and I can write that in a few different fonts. You can already practice and implement. You can put some in capital, some in lowercase, some in bold, some really small. So just write, I am a whatever kind of teacher you are on your paper, so that you can remember later when you look back on these notes and you see that sentence, you're going to be like, why did I write that? You're going to remember, oh, we were looking at different fonts. So I think most of you have had a chance to write that down already. And so we'll go to another part of what we were talking about a few slides ago, right here: structure, function, system, and interaction. So we have structure. Now, if we have system, what are the different systems? We talked about 3 earlier today when we listened to the video, right? We said, oh, you could list, you could do a linear or a list format. You can use a web format. You can use a roadmap. You can use columns, cycles. And then the last one there I listed was random. If you're having a conversation with someone, you don't know where it's going, it'll probably be a random setup. But it's okay, because you can always go back and see how that information can be organized in a different system. Now for function, remember, all these notes, all these icons, the purpose of sketchnoting is to serve a specific function, to get a message across. So you can use a lot of different things to help you carry out your goal. You can use arrows, you can use icons. We have been trained to read icons and interpret icons. You drive on the streets and there are icons for merging of the roads. It doesn't say you can move your car into the next lane over. No, there's a yellow, at least here, there's a yellow sign that you know is for you to merge in. You see the arrows together. You don't see on the road that it says you are going north. There's an arrow going in one direction and an arrow going in the other direction. Lights. When the lights change at intersections, we see a color change, and we know that that means that we can now go. The light doesn't turn on and go, okay, now you can turn on your car and you can move forward. So we have all these things ingrained in us already. We see logos of a bird and we think of Twitter. The bird doesn't say, hey, I'm an application for you to be able to send short messages to people on the internet. No, it's a bird that we have that we already have connected in our mind with the function of sending short messages. And so before I start losing you guys, we're going to look at a few icons. So icons summarize what messages or maybe words that you're writing down, so you don't have to write down everything using text. So I have an activity here where you have a square, a triangle, a circle, an oval, and a line. You are going to mix and match these in different ways to create a few icons. So, for example, I can put the square with the triangle on top, and I can make a house, right? So I can either use that house if I'm in class, and I can say, okay, when you visit the home page of our class, or I can put that, I can use home to represent safety. I can use home to represent sleep. I can use home to represent coverage. I can use that same icon to represent a lot of things when I'm taking notes. We see the circle with different lines inside of them because we use emojis all the time on our phone. And I think you guys did an activity about creating emojis. Am I right?
Yeah, so teacher can say yes, 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 if let's say you have already go through the emoji game. Still remember emoji game with the Jay over here, Jay in the creative learning session. So they actually draw a few emojis, something like, word by word, decipher the word of the scientific names of tigers and scientific names of orangutans, something like that. Yes, teachers are saying yes because they have do something like this. But I think one important message from teacher Hume Narita, he said, Valeria, make the drawings look simple. So very, very applicable to all the teachers over here and also their students. So we can have these basic shapes and then create something new out of it.
Exactly. So let's try that now. Mix a few of these together, one or two, pick two, at least two, and make something. And when I say you can do one, because like, let's say you can do multiple squares and do something with the squares, but try to mix a few of these to make something. And if you really can't think of anything, then I maybe identify something in your classroom. Like maybe with these, make something that can identify what type of teacher you are. For example, I could use the triangle and put a little triangle on top and put a few circles inside it. And I can do like, I'm a science teacher because I can make a little flask.
Right. So it can also be as simple as the pet they currently have at home or the animals they love, something like that,
Yeah.
using the shapes. And they can use any numbers of shapes, right? Any number of squares, for example, 4 squares, 3 triangles, if they love to.
Yeah. So I'm going to allow you guys to try it. And in the meantime, I'm going to place a few of them here just so you can start seeing how you can mix and match different shapes with lines to make different images.
Wow, very cute examples of here. The beetles, they're bees. Right. So now your turn, teachers. How many minutes do they have, Valeria?
Take a wild guess.
I'll take a wild guess. 3. Yes,
3 minutes.
with the 3 as well. Okay, so 3 minutes starts now. So once you have done with your shapes, the creation of your shape, you could send into the Telegram as well. So 3 minutes starts now. Okay, you can see teachers are very focused on creating the shapes, and there are some shapes already been done in the group. So teachers, feel free to keep it coming. You can create multiple shapes like Valeria over here. Valeria has created 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12 shapes using different basic shapes.
All right, so our time is, we have about 30 seconds left.
Oh, I thought you were saying time is up. All right. Final 30 seconds. Teachers can touch up your shapes, right? Create a new one. Feel free to submit it in the Telegram group.
All right, now time's up.
Okay, meanwhile, we will share from the Telegram. And let's also have a look of just now the sketch noting activity, because some of the teachers just submitted. I think they spent some time to decorate it and then submit to the Telegram as well. All right, let me share the Telegram. There you go. So we stop from here, and Valeria can have a look of teachers' notes over here. Yes. And then we have teachers Roslisa, teachers Ong notes
I
from
love
here.
it.
Yes.
And they even add the colors.
Okay. Even have the colors of this, right? RYBG.
Yeah.
Yes. And then we have teacher Anapuram having her own style. I'm not sure
Yeah,
whether
I
this
see
is
the smiley
start.
face
Smiley face.
in the how-to structure.
Yes. Oh, this one.
Uh-huh.
Wow. Good observation, Valeria.
And the question mark with the face over here.
Yes. So
Whoever
that
did this
shows.
is gonna love an activity that I'm gonna do in a few seconds.
Wow. Yes. Because evolving some emojis as well, right? Wow. Teacher Parimala.
Very cool.
Yes.
And she didn't even have to write what the words were because she knows that the different fonts represent the fonts. The numbers represent the numbers, the arrows. See, she didn't even have to write arrows. Like when you can encode information into your notes, I tell my students that they're like writing a secret code that only they can interpret, and they're the only ones that need to know how to decipher it.
Yes. Like their very own Morse code that only they can understand.
Yeah.
Yes. So very quickly, we have the basic shape activity by
Very cool.
Miss Ong over here. Right. This is like a character. Wow, with the pencil as the leg. Am I right, Miss Wrong? Yeah. And then Ismailiza, teacher Ismailiza, I think it's a house with wheel and a tree
House
over
on
here.
wheels.
House on wheels, yes. Teacher Adelina, a robot face over here. I think it reminds me of some storybook, this character.
And one thing I learned very quickly from the sketching classes was to not tell the students like, oh, did you draw a character or did you draw a tree? I learned to say, tell me about your drawing.
Yes, if let's say we
Tell
have
me
this
about your sketch.
personalized
Because
right chat with
it
the
gets-
teachers over here, it will be awesome.
Yeah.
So what they normally draw in your classroom, teacher Valeria? Like,
I'll
is it
show you guys. I'll show you guys in a few minutes. But they sketch their vocabulary words
wow, okay.
every
So
week.
I see. Is it science related, the subject?
Yes. So every week I give them a set of 10 vocabulary words and they have to draw a sketch to help them remember the word or something that identifies the word.
All right. So we have teacher Sally's sketches over here using basic shapes. We have teacher
Excellent.
Anapuram. Wow. Teacher Ng. Wow, very cute. Teacher Zura. Yes, there are a lot of teachers are submitting in right now. Oh, is this a
Awesome.
YouTube? YouTube logo over here.
Yeah. And so that simple square with a triangle inside can represent video or movie or film. Like it's a simple thing that you can draw in a few seconds that can represent a lot of things related to movies.
All right. Wow.
Oh, how
Teacher,
cute.
yeah. Yeah, this is like a clock. Oh no, this is
Yeah.
like a maths
A
pythagorean, right?
triangle. Yeah,
Yes,
definitely a math teacher.
definitely. So there's
Oh,
still a lot
airplane.
more. Oh,
I
airplane.
love it.
Ah, this one.
Yeah.
Yes, by teacher Parimala. Probably teacher Parimala is the one who loved travel just now.
We
Okay.
can be friends.
Definitely. So
Definitely
there's
be
a nasi lemak over here. Have you tried nasi lemak before, Valeria?
Never.
It's the national food of Malaysia. A little bit of
I would
spicy.
love to go to Malaysia and try it.
Yes, definitely, definitely.
Can
Okay,
we
so
do
there's
this conference in person next year?
wow, I think teacher will love it. Right, everyone is like sketching together in a conference room, probably with Valeria together. Like you said, the how to improve your
No, we
Sketchnote
put
2.0.
posters on the walls and we sketch on the walls.
Wow, that would be nice. That would be nice. We need to ask any organizers will allow us to do so, to draw on the wall, right? Yes, who knows? Okay, or Miss
We
Lau
have
is
to put
saying
it out
tour
into the
guide for you.
universe.
Yes. Okay, so I'll let Valeria to continue on with the
Okay.
session. And we have
Yes.
about 30 minutes left, and then we'll go into the Q&A.
Perfect. So we'll finish up this section and then I'll give you guys a minute to like stand up, move around before we do the last part, and then we'll do Q&A. So the reason why we practice doing those shapes, those simple shapes, is because when you create an icon library, you're basically creating an alphabet for yourself to be able to use these simple images that you already have in mind, that you've already like pre-thought about. And then when they come up in a conversation or when they come up, when you hear them, you're like, oh, I have an image for that. And you can use them quicker instead of while something is happening or while you're hearing something or while you're thinking about something, you're also thinking about how you could represent that in a drawing. That takes more time. So creating an icon library is like warming up your brain, developing a vocabulary, developing an alphabet that you can use, and then you can use those letters, those alphabet letters that you've created in different combinations. So you can use these icons that you created in different combinations to express a message. So I do this for my students. I create a list of commonly used terms in the week that we have ahead of us. And every Monday they get a list of 10 vocabulary words that we are going to learn about or listen to or hear throughout the week. And I give them time to write down the definition and then draw a sketch, a simple sketch of something that identifies that word. Because as we talk about it throughout the week, when they're taking notes, they can use the reference of something that they already drew out, and it increases the speed at which they sketch. It also increases the creative flow because they're not sitting there thinking about what to draw to represent. They're like, that's similar to what I did the last week. Or if I change, for example, somebody had drawn a car, right? In one of the pictures, like a truck with some gas, some like a bubble of gas behind it, like a little cloud. If you put the car, you can say transportation, right? Now, instead of putting the cloud, if I put like a dotted line moving back behind the car and I put an X, I changed that word to journey. So I used the same image. I only changed the cloud that was behind the car to a dotted line and an X showing like where they started. And then now you have something completely different. So the students start seeing that that their creative flow is moving, is going, is flowing. And it also helps increase retention of vocabulary words because they're building more terms and more images at the same time. And so sometimes they say, whenever I make an explanation, I hear my students say, oh, I see what you did there. So they are starting to see the words that I'm saying in connections in their head. So I'm going to ask you now to place this tic-tac-toe looking masterpiece on your paper. And once you've placed these lines on your paper, I want you to think of a few terms. Maybe they are terms that you use in your class. For example, I use collaborate. I use teamwork. I use problem solve because I tell my students that my middle name is problem solving. But I also tell my students that they need to be problem solvers. Let's see. I use the word write, think, share, research. So those are just a few words that I use, but you can fill in with things that you use. And the reason I'm asking you to do this is you're not filling up the whole square with that line, with that information. You are going to write it as close as you can to the bottom of the square. So let me switch screens so that you could see what I mean, if it helps. All right. So for example, if I have the word right, I want to come up with an icon that will help me represent right. So I can do a rectangle with lines and a pen. So if there's an assignment where they have to write something down, I can do that. If I want to spend a little bit more time on it, I can add more pages. If I want my students to use their notebook, rectangle, little triangle, little triangle, little triangle. Now I've created a notebook. So I want you to find a few words, write them down near the bottom of the squares and come up with an image for them. Maybe you don't have time right now to come up with all the images. Maybe you write 3 words, maybe you write 2 words, but later, after all of this has sunk in, when you've had, you know, some lunch and you've had some time to relax later in the week and you're like, hey, I want to see if I can put some of this to practice, you can finish this activity. But I want you to at least do 1 or 2. If you can do more, great. but do one or two so that you can have this in your toolbox for later. And again, this is something you can give to your students blank and have them do it. For example, I'll put one in that I would use with my students, like sedimentary rock, right? So I would have them right? You get the idea? So there, it's an image with a rock that is made up of tiny pieces of sediment. For example, if I want them to problem solve. Just by putting X's and the check mark, I'm showing that way didn't work, that way didn't work, this way worked. So I'm going to switch back over.
Okay, maybe before that, we can actually ask the teacher to put in the Zoom. What is the most common words that you always use in your classroom? Yes, I think every teacher has the different words. So teacher can put in the Zoom first. Put in the Zoom first. What is the most common word that you always use in your classroom? Before you draw, you can put in the Zoom first. Let us know. That every teacher has a reference. What are the words that you always use in your classroom? Right? Because different teacher subject probably have different words as well. Yes, there are some examples from Valeria as well in this slides. Observe, listen, good, try.
Observe.
Speak loudly. Probably teachers have some students who speak very soft. Sharing.
Let's try making some of these.
Wow, pay attention. I wonder how do we sketch pay attention?
Let's do it.
Oh, there's one funny one. Teacher said sayang means dear. So you always say dear in your classroom. Dear students. All right, so we have a few minutes to sketch this. So teacher can sketch about 2 or 3 words and then send into the Telegram.
These words are awesome.
Oh, I like how teacher Surati says, smile always. Always encourage your student to smile. Yes, so teacher can start sketching the words that you choose, or even can choose some of the examples in Valeria's slide, Miss Valeria's slide.
I love these. This is so fun. Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to stop sharing mine a second so that we can do some of these. And again, you can do your own, but as you were saying them, I was starting to think. So pay attention. I can literally visualize, our money.
Wow.
Pay attention, right?
Wow. Pay to the bullseye. Pay attention.
Pay attention. Exactly. Dare to fail.
Wow, I think many teachers are very impressed like by how fast Valeria can sketch, right? And the ideas just, just a snap of fingers, then it's come out already. Deer, literally deer, but with a deer with a. Yes, teacher Liao say the exact outcome that we want. Next time I just sketch, no need to shout at them. Awesome. Yes, we can better connect with the students with all these sketches instead of, shoutings or words, right? Every time you draw this money and the bull eye, just like teacher Valeria has showed us, pay attention. Then they would know to focus on
So
teachers teaching.
you laugh, but for example, you could put the pay attention on a piece of paper and you can laminate it. And when you need it, when you need them to pay attention, you could slide it onto their desk, or you could just lift it up and you continue to talk. That way you don't disrupt what you're saying, because sometimes when kids are interrupting class and not paying attention is because they want attention on themselves. And when you say pay attention, you're giving them attention and disrupting it. So by telling them that you notice without giving them the attention that they're trying to get, because they get positive reinforcement for what they just did, because they got the attention they wanted. They got the whole class to turn around and look at them because you're telling them to pay attention. So by using the image or the word, you're addressing them saying, hey, I'm on to you. I know what you're trying to do, but I need to keep going. So for speak loudly, I thought this one immediately when they said this, I laughed. And again, all of these, there's nothing artistic, right? This is a squiggle. This is a triangle, an oval, lines, right? You can even erase the person. And now you have a mouth. Speak loudly. You'll
So it's
see
really
when I'm sketching that I'll do the things with my hands. So for example, I'll put my hand out.
a thumbs up.
A thumbs up.
I think this is a very good activity to do with the students as well, to challenge their thought, challenge their creativity, to see how they can sketch the words that they always use in their own subject.
Mm-hmm. And so for try, you can do different things, but try to me means take a step, right? So it could be like literally step in, or you can tell them like the outline of a shoe, right? Or you can do the outline of a foot. You know, like try just means take one step.
I wonder what's that on the teeth.
It's like a sparkle, or it could be something left over from breakfast.
Yeah. And finally, we have listen, which is, I think, the most common words out of all. So teachers saying amazingly creative. Fuyo.
But it's
And
but it's creativity is a muscle that
Mhm.
you need to exercise, just like athletes exercise and they shoot, like all the basketball players that are in the NBA. They weren't born shooting 3-pointers. They had some skills, but they sharpened those skills and they worked out and they practiced, and they're now really good at shooting 3-pointers.
Yep,
But
eventually we become the muscles
creativity,
memory.
yes, creativity is a muscle. And we also need to tell students that it's not either you're creative or you're not, you're artistic or you're not. No, there's the whole growth mindset part of, this is where you're at right now, and you need to strengthen your muscles so that you can continue to improve.
Yeah, so I can't wait to show Valeria like what the teacher has produced in the Telegram group. So
Okay.
teachers do send in the words that you have sketch, right? And then there you go. We have a Telegram group over here. All right. So we start from here. We have Madam Ong. Pay attention. Dare to fail. Dear, calculate. Speak loudly.
Love it. Oh, try. Cool.
You see the try. Very cool.
It,
Yeah,
it
I
could
can
also
pick-
be like Tetris.
Yes, like a Tetris, right? Yeah. Okay, next up we have, wow, teacher Ismailiza. Wow. Oh, thank you for featuring Faber-Castell eraser.
Oh, cool. I love it. Clean. I just finished organizing my classroom today, and I'm like, oh, do I really want students coming in to mess it up?
Yeah, probably should encourage the students to clean up as well.
Yeah.
Wow, teacher Ismailiza, do your students always sleep? That's why you draw asleep? Okay, we have Chem Rutifa. Wow, what do you think, Valeria, this teacher's sketches?
I love the fact that they're in pen. That makes my heart beat even faster.
Right. So
Discussion, experiment. Maybe you were the one that asked. I saw that there was a few that didn't make it onto here, but definitely experiment. Love it. And it has a
yes.
timer there to show the amount of time.
The extra big thumb over here. Yes. So the courage of using pen or markers of right color pencils, everything, it shows something that you are willing to try. So do encourage your students to do so as well. So we have teacher.
Love it.
Yes. Right.
Think
Homework.
positive. What is TUE
TUE?
in the think positive image?
Oh, I think it's the plus and VE.
Oh, positive.
Positive. Yes. The
How
plus sign.
cool.
Yes.
I love that.
Right. We have Q&A.
Q&A. Perfect homework. Ha! Love it.
Yes. So next up, we have teacher Steven. Focus, try hard. Right.
Oh, I
So-
love it. The squat.
This one, wow, looks like the muscles really flexing.
Yeah.
So Valeria, if the students ask, let's say if I want to draw stick man, is it okay? Like, how would you encourage them?
Yes. 1000% okay.
Yes. Wow, Teacher June have many colors over here. A deer that is
That's
shy.
awesome.
Yeah, so very quickly I'll go through the
Observation. I
rest.
love observation.
Which one? All right, the eyes over here.
Ditto. Communicate. Good. Because you can see that it's two people.
Two ways. Yes.
Communication is two ways.
Yes. There you go. So we have quickly go through the rest. So we have Teacher Lee. There's YouTube, game, write, notebook. All right. So there you go. We have a few teachers here. I think I saw some teachers drawing these ones as well. Yes. This one, good job. Give you ideas. Yes, there you go. A very, very awesome activity led by Teacher Valeria. Feel free to experiment with your students. I'll pass on to Teacher Valeria to maybe do a final remarks in 8 minutes or so. And then we'll go into the Q&A.
Okay. So again, it's not about art. It's about capturing ideas. So remembering the interaction between the sketches and the letters and the colors, everything is serving a function. So don't get carried away with colors and the shapes and the containers, because if there's no message inside the container, then the container doesn't matter. If there's nothing to color, if you're coloring in a box with red, but there's nothing that red represents, then you don't need the red. So just think about the interaction. So using colors to highlight or review information is really good, because if your kids do their notes in black and white in class, you can send them home, and for homework, they can highlight certain things or they can color in certain things. And that way they're they're reviewing the information, but it doesn't feel forced because they're getting to work on their drawing. Interactions help make sense of the pathways. So when you look through the information, you can see how they connect. The numbers help you, like where did we start? Where was the middle? Where did it end? 1, 2, 3. That's how we know where the information flow was going. And using this activity to chunk the information into categories, that's basically what we do. We group things by age, we group things by name, we group things by where people are from, we group things by profession. We already naturally do this in our everyday lives. So again, it's just making it a little bit more obvious to the students that this is what's happening, that this is the information that is being fed to them in the world around them. So I'm going to skip this one. Okay. Here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send these to you guys so that you can see them. They're just different examples, but, this one, for example, is vocabulary words, that my students put into their notebooks. So for a project that we do with NASA. So atmosphere is gases surrounding the Earth and other planets. International Space Station is an orbiting lab, and it shows how 16 nations work together. And then I drew out the International Space Station. Biomass is the total of an organism's mass, like in a given area. So for example, we collect the biomass of the plants we grow. Bioregenerative life support. It's an ecosystem on the ISS that allows for the astronauts to live up there. But you can see how I use numbers, arrows, icons, texts in different sizes to do the vocabulary words. So my students do it on their own. I do it like this, and sometimes I voice over it so the students can see it and hear it as well. Okay, I'm going to stop this here. How do I go back? Okay. And I wanted to give you guys some examples as well of how I use it for assignments in my class. So at the beginning of the year, I start next week. This is my first assignment for next week. I'm going to have my students write their name, and then I ask them, what does your name mean? And they need to fill this out. And then why did your family give you your name? They need to ask their parents. And then what did they learn about themselves from their name? Because there's a lot of power that comes from your name. It also helps me learn their names. And this goes into their notebooks along with a picture from a Polaroid that I take, that I put on the front of their notebooks, so that while I'm learning their names, I also have a visual and I have a story behind who each kid is in the first few weeks of school. Another activity. Have you guys heard about the carrot, the egg, and the bean? The coffee bean? Maybe you can write in the chat.
So does each food like represent something?
So there's a book, and it's called The Carrot, the Egg, and the Coffee. And it asks you which one you are. And the point of the story is that a carrot is tough, and under pressure, when you put it in boiling water, so heat and pressure, put it in the water, it gets soggy and soft. So there's some people that are really tough, but when you put them into difficult situations, they get soggy. Then you have an egg, which is really brittle and delicate. And when you put it in hot boiling water, it becomes hardened. So those are the types of people that get hardened with difficult situations, and they resent a lot of things and a lot of people and education and all the things, right? And then there's the coffee bean that is hard, and it's a bean, doesn't really do much, but when you put it in a difficult situation, it transforms the water into something that gives people lots of energy. And especially being from Colombia, we're very proud of our coffee, something that tastes very great. So I asked my students, like, what is a situation in which you have been a carrot, that you have become soggy in a difficult situation? What kind of situation have you become hardened? And what kind of situation have you transformed in a difficult situation? And so the water's at the bottom, they color it in, they give their examples. And it's a way for me to get to know them, but also a way for me to talk about solids, liquids, and gases, and how items change depending on their interaction with the environment. So it's a little bit of everything here. This is cells. We were writing out some characteristics of cells. This is in their science notebooks. This is their visual vocabulary, where they have the vocabulary word, they write the definition, and they draw an image. Earth's moving crust. And then before the last part, this is just an example. You can watch any YouTube video. I would recommend TED Talks, because they are about 10-ish minutes and they're really good because you can pause them. But if you're really interested in sustainable community development, Cormac Russell's TED Talk is really good, because he talks about from shifting our focus from what's wrong to what's strong. And with sketchnoting, that's what we do, where we switch the focus from what's wrong with the picture, what's wrong with the line, to what's strong about the message that your image is conveying. So that's a really good one for you guys to watch if you're interested. And you can sketch it, you can write notes, you can practice some of these things, but while watching something that's of a lot of value, I think. So before the takeaways, do you want to move I don't know if we have like a minute. What do we have? What time do we have?
I think we can close it up in 2 minutes and then we can have the Q&A session.
Perfect. Okay, so takeaways. We draw to listen, learn, visualize, time, problem solve, share, and create, and set goals. When you sketchnote, you become a better listener, more organized presenter, and you start synthesizing information quicker. So a few things to remember: identify the pathway, number your notes to create order, separate your ideas using containers, dividers, and borders, and use arrows to connect information. Retention varies with the teaching method, so just keep in mind that at the end, your goal is to create students that can share their information and share what they've learned. So listening and seeing, writing it out, and then sharing it allows them to show you what they've retained. So tips: make sure that you work on your icon library, maybe use a timer so that you can put a little bit of time pressure on it. Work from text first, then you can use videos, and then listening to people live, because it's scaffolded in the order of difficulty. Always practice trying to not erase, and remember that there's no mistakes. And remind yourself and your students to be patient with the process. We'll skip that one. So the way that I recommend to you, as well as your students, would be to create action plans for yourself. Write out a goal of who, what, when, potential challenges and solutions, so that you can address how and when you want to try out these new skills. And sketchnoting is like, this is my last slide. Some takeaways: you don't have to be an aspiring artist. It's easier than you think. Everyone has their own style, so you can use text and images. You are your own target audience. So as long as you get it, that's all that matters. Don't let others' abilities get in your way. Sketchnoting is like running, cooking, and photography. It's for anyone and everyone willing to try. So have fun and watch yourself improve as you grow. I'm done.
Wow, love it. Love the traffic light as well. Improve as you go, literally go. Right. So before we move on to the Q&A, so Valeria has also shared some resources as well.
Yeah, but I figured those would probably be in the Q&A anyway.
Okay. So before we move on to the Q&A, I think teachers can take some time to type your questions in this Padlet link. So feel free to ask any questions to Valeria. We have about 10 to 15 minutes to answer all your questions. So before I bring in the Padlet for the questions, teacher can type in first. And at the same time, I think Valeria can also show some applications of your sketch or your students' work. How do you actually like use sketches in your students' workbook or in the exercise book and stuff like that?
Yes, so I put some here. My students have their science notebooks.
Probably you can unblur the background.
Yes.
Or just show in front of your face, because that's where the non-blur part is.
Okay. So my students have their science notebooks, and we have vocabulary. Do you see how they have their vocabulary words? So they get these sheets every week, and they put the words, the definitions, and the images. And then anytime we take notes, I take notes on the board, and they write down, and they incorporate images.
Yes.
Uh,
Probably Valerie, you can unshare the screen first, and then your video can be
I
enlarged.
think Valeria has scanned it and put it in the slides. Am I right, Valeria? Maybe we can
Yes.
show it from there.
Yes. So here's one. Can you see it?
Ah, yes.
Here's another one. This one was the cell. Earth's moving crust.
So do you give instructions to them, like whether they should sketch this and then sketch it here, sketch it there, or it's just free flow for them?
Yes. So we use I use it for everything, for writing my agenda on the board, for handouts, for activities. So anytime I'm writing notes on the board, or I write notes on my iPad and AirPlay it onto the board, they see it. And I tell them it's their choice. They don't have to do it that way. That's how I connect to the information. I want them to explore ways that make sense to them, that feel comfortable to them. But I show them different ways so that they're exposed to it. And students work well when they see you model the activity.
All right. So that's the application of teacher Valeria. How Valeria as a teacher use sketches in her subject like science and biology and stuff like that. So one application I think I heard from Valeria also from our previous discussion, you mentioned you also use sketches to put on the whiteboard as instructions. So how do you like actually do that during your day-to-day classes?
I can show you here. So when you get to class, I don't know if it happens to you guys, but I guess my students, they want to know what we're doing, when we're doing it, why we're doing it. They want to know everything, and they almost can't focus until they know what's going to happen. So I have an agenda that I put up on the board so that they know, and I tell them, all right. And as they come in, they're walking in, they can see, and it'll say like 5 minutes. And they already know that we're going to have a 5-minute meditation. If we're going to have to write something, they know they're going to have to write. If they need to get their notebook. And if they need to turn in any assignments, it'll say turn in. Or for example, if we have a test, there's different icons. If we're going to do a lab, there's different icons that I put up, and it'll say, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, right? Because that way they know, and then they also keep me on track so that we get everything done. Like there's usually 1 or 2 kids that are like, we have 2 minutes left. We have 1 minute left.
All right. So teachers can feel free to refer to this method and try to apply in your classroom as well. Right before you start your class, you can always have this agenda using sketches, just like how Miss Valeria has showed us, because it's a kind of like very effective way to connect with the students. Instead of using your verbal languages, instead of using words, you use sketches, right? So they see very clearly, oh, today we're gonna do exercise for 5 minutes and then reflection and then check in and then turn in the homework, so on and so forth. So yes, Chico Chua also say it's a good idea. So feel free to apply this method as well because I find this method really fascinating. Okay,
Then,
so
Valeria, a few questions from our side over here. Would you be able to describe to us in utilizing Sketchnote in your classroom, how has your students personally have utilized this and how have they improved in their study? Is there any experiences that you can share with the teachers over here in Malaysia on the effectiveness of using sketchnoting in the classroom?
Yes. So there's a few things. I've had some students who have trouble like focusing on an activity. And because sometimes it's ADD, sometimes they're just not interested, different things. What I've noticed is when we're doing these sketches, if I place them at a table and I tell them that I'm going to set up a stand that's going to record their work, then they start drawing knowing that they're the note taker for the class for the day. So they feel this responsibility, or they feel special that their notes are the ones that are going to be shared. And so that's been one way that I've been able to get students who have a hard time settling in to be like, hey, remember, you have to stay underneath the camera. You have to stay underneath the iPad. For retention of information, I've noticed that because they're taking the time to sketch it, some kids really take pride in their sketches. So they'll do one in school, and even though it's not a homework assignment, they'll go home and do another version that is neater and bring it in. And I didn't assign that, but they did that on their own. So they gave themselves homework. I've also noticed an increase in vocabulary because every week they're getting words. So it's piling up. Even though they may not remember all of them, they're remembering more than they would have before. And I've noticed that my group of students, I feel, are very impatient in general, but I have noticed that they've developed a little bit of patience. Because they see that, you know, some images take time to develop, some skills take time to develop. So at the beginning, I would see some kids very frustrated because they didn't know an answer to something. But because this makes them feel frustrated, practice feeling frustrated and practice finding a solution, I've seen those same students that would have like outbursts because they couldn't figure something out in class. With this process, they've started managing some of those outbursts. So they're not all directly related to like improving a skill in drawing, but they're improving general skills.
okay, so we definitely can see the benefits and transformation of students that use sketches, shown by teacher Valeria. And yes, fellow teachers, do encourage and do start to apply in your classroom as well, because it's a really, really very practical and applicable methods. So moving on, we probably can ask Teacher Valeria a few questions from the teachers from the Padlet itself. So yes, I like how Teacher Valeria is showing the answers to the questions using sketches as well as we go by. So that is a very personalized style from Teacher Valeria as well. So one of the question is, I think it's quite related to what we are talking about. How do you fast pace of what you are drawing while presenting it in a video? Any apps for doing that?
If you have an iPhone, you can use time lapse. There are so many apps though now that any app that has time lapse, like your phone has slow-mo, time lapse, cinematic, like it has so many things. So anything with time lapse, specifically when I make my videos, I use WeVideo. It's a platform, a web platform where you can upload your videos. You can use Google Classroom, Google Drive to bring stuff in. And you can, when you're creating your video, you have like the line for the image, you have the line for the voice, you can voice over, you can put in sounds, you have your library of content that you can pick from, and then you have your video editing screen. And so you have so many options. You can put in text, you can move like the speed, so 10 times faster, 20 times faster, whatever it is that you need. They also have a library of pictures that you can insert as well. So I've made a lot of visual vocabulary videos for my students, but using pictures and videos from their library instead of drawing them out, so that they have an image to look at and then they can create their own sketches. Does that help?
Yep, very helpful. I think teachers feel free to, go and explore this a few methods over here, the applications of WeVideo, text movie, or as simple as using a phone of time lapse, right, to speed up the video that you want to show your students. Yes. And I have a question from here. Teachers is asking, my class ratio is 1 to 32, means 32 students per class. Can I still apply the sketchnoting method?
Yep. I apply it to 1 to 200. You can apply it to as many kids as you have in a session, depending on the activity that you're doing. When you say, can you apply it to them, as in, do they have enough time to have your undivided attention? That would be hard if you wanted all of them to be, if you wanted to be seeing each of their work. But if you were doing the activity that we did with the vocabulary words, where each of them were doing, you could have them maybe in groups of 2 or 3, where they each group of 2 or 3 have a word, and then they have to show it to the class. And then at the end, you'll have 32 vocabulary words, where each student made one. There's different ways. If you have the ability to airdrop pictures or Padlet, then you can assign 1 word to each student, and then you have 32 words, and they can upload all of their words to the Padlet. And then now each student only defined 1 word, but they can share with the class why that image helps them to remember it. So they present the information, they learn it, they draw it, and they present it. And then they can convince somebody else to use their same image,
All right. So hopefully that answers the questions of one of the teachers in the Padlet. And yes, I think it's very, very applicable, even it's a large class size. So do encourage, just like us, just like us, we have 80 plus or 90 teachers over here, and we still manage to encourage all the teachers to try out in the Telegram group itself, and then everyone trying out the sketchnoting method as well.
Yeah, I guess, Valeria, I've seen you creating Sketchnote for professional conferences as well, even for adults. Could you share a bit about that? That's really something interesting. I've seen many of very beautiful artworks coming from you, especially from conferences.
Yes. So sometimes presenters, they have a really important message that they're sharing with their audience, but the people, when they're in there, they have like an amazing feeling, but when they walk away, they can't remember specifics of what they learned or what sparked that feeling. Or sometimes when they're in the presentation, they maybe focus on one thing that they heard that was really good and they don't want to forget it. So they're repeating it in their head and they're not listening to the other parts because they don't want to remember that one part that they really liked. So I don't know if I can quickly access some of the presentations. What would be the fastest way to do this?
Excellent.
So this isn't like anything, this was for a professional. She's a psychologist that I was meeting with, but this was just a conversation that we had and kind of jotting down notes as she was talking. That's a little bit of the idea behind some of these. For example, this was a conference at Emerge Americas where Serena Williams and Hong Feng spoke about entrepreneurship, innovation, crypto, power of diversity and inclusivity. So as they were talking, I took notes on what, for example, Serena Williams was saying. She said that you can win in all areas of life if you train. And she says it doesn't come easy. It's hard work. There's gaps. There's lack of diversity. So this was the summary of her presentation at Emerge Americas, which was a conference here in Miami. This is more of notes that I do for my students. For the plant cell, organelles, I write in the definitions and I show them how. So I take a picture of the blank notebook and I write on the screen what they're writing on their paper.
I noticed,
So-
Teacher Valeria, you have something like this as well, like using words and then a little bit of icons. So one of the questions is that how would you encourage students to actually use sketchnoting when they actually rely more on words previously? They always say they can't draw, but they rather use words.
Well, it's easier to use words, just bolding them, adding shadows to them. You can mix and match images. So for example, this is a combination, but this is mainly text, right? So if a student wants to just use text, then tell them to play with colors, with sizes, with borders, the borders around the text, right? Maybe all the main ideas can be used with squares and then circles around the other things. So they can mix and match. They don't have to use images.
Right. So even those students who are more words inclined, they can play with the variety of the words, like the fonts, like the bolds and italicized, and also the basic shapes as well.
Yep.
All right. I have a teacher privately messaged me about a question. May I know any research of the effect of Sketchnote? I think teachers is referring to the resources that they can read up at their own time. For example, the research on sketchnoting, the effects of images, colors, and so on and so forth.
Yes, in the presentation, I skipped that part, but there are a few studies. So Iowa State University did some research on sketchnoting, how sketchnoting pushes students to learn and retain information differently, specifically in STEM. Edweek.org has an article on the benefits of using doodling and sketchnoting in class to reinforce concepts. The Learning Scientist, and there's two studies, one that I refer to often, Mueller and Oppenheimer. And there's another one, I can't remember right now, but they did a study where they had like two groups, and one of them had to listen to words and one of them could write down the words, and then they invited them to come back and they asked them to see who could recall the most amount of information after some time. And the group that was able to write down the information, the words, was able to share 40 or 50% more than the people who just listened to the stories or the words. And like that, there's a lot of studies. There's research on note-taking and how brain, hand note-taking, that process helps better than typing out notes. That's the other research study, but I don't remember the name of it. And like I mentioned to you guys earlier, there's a lot of books on visual note-taking for educators, and they have the research inside as well. Educated by Design, Ink and Ideas for Educators, and all of these have links in the back to research as well. And they have keynotes, links to keynotes and things like that. So I have to send you all that so that you can share with the teacher.
Yes, yes. That will be very much appreciated from Valeria's side. And then we will put into the Telegram for you once Miss Valeria has sent it to our team. Right. So yes, Teacher Liao is saying excellent and thank you very much. Okay, I think I have two last questions over here. And teacher is asking, is the sketching teaching method, the one that Valeria is using, very commonly used in the United States or in your school, for example?
So in my school, it's common in my classes. It's not something that is used everywhere. It is becoming more popular because we are shifting the notion that that kids are just coloring, but that they're writing notes. And they're also seeing that the jobs that these students are going to have when they graduate, and they go out into the working world, still haven't been created. They don't exist. So we can't be teaching solely based on what exists. And so that idea is helping people open up to different methods of note-taking in class. And somebody had asked earlier in the chat that they had never heard of a content amplifier.
Yep.
And actually, I designed that career for myself.
Wow.
Because I realized that that is what I wanted to do. And I tell my students this example all the time, because we tend to put ourselves into pockets, into roles, into boxes that are pre-existing. Like, I'm an illustrator because I draw. Or my students say, since you draw so much, why do you teach? And it's like, why do I have to be in this box or this box? Why can't there be a box for science illustrators who like to ride bikes? So anyway, I know I detoured a little bit there, but I hope it answered somebody's question.
Yep, definitely. I think there's one teacher sharing in the group is sharing in the chat is that maths teacher are reluctant to use Sketchnote due to lack of exposure like this, and maths teacher always think they are not good in art. So this is one of teachers sharing. So I think teachers Valeria session today come into place, play a big role to encourage teachers to really. Because I think a very first slide, teacher or very first few slide Miss Valeria mentioned is not about the art. It's really about the trying, the exploring, right? And then to a very personalized to yourself. So teacher can share this message out to other maths teachers as well to do this and apply this in your classroom with your students as well. Right. So I think there's one question. I think I'm not sure, Teacher Valeria, you have this experience in your classroom about lazy students not submitting or not finishing their given works.
Yeah, I even showed you one that was incomplete.
Oh, really? So how do you actually encourage them to submit or something like that?
I tell them to submit it anyway. Take a picture and submit it. If they finish it later, like things like this, if they finish it later, that's fine. Because the image is to help them remember. So I tell them, this is a tool for you. For example, a knife or a fork, like you use it to eat. It's a tool for you. But if you choose not to use a knife and complicate yourself trying to eat, and you're making it difficult on yourself, and it's a choice, and students need to have the choice to see, hey, wait a minute, I actually did remember the words easier when I drew them. When I just read the word one time, I didn't remember it on the quiz and I didn't get it right. And then the next week, they're like, okay, maybe I'll write the words and draw them. So they need to also see the benefits themselves, because if you tell them that it's a benefit and they don't see it or feel it, then they're just going to be dragging their feet.
Right. So I think what Ms. Valeria is saying that is do still encourage them to submit in. And then what I would add on is that probably in the work that they are supposed to submit in, add on some elements that they would enjoy. Like sketches is one of the things that I think most students would enjoy, like to sketch based on their feelings, what they like, and that's to stimulate their interest as well.
And
Okay.
to answer that question as well, I have my students submit their work to Google Classroom. And when everyone submits their work, we do a little bit of like what you did right now, showing the work of the teachers. So without having to say anything to them about not finishing it, when we're looking at everyone's work and everyone's work is shown, the turned in, and we go through, oh, look, so like, did so-and-so turn it in? Yes. Did so-and-so turn it in? Yes. And you can see the work. And we do it because it gives them, it's not to make them feel bad about their work. It's so that other people can get ideas from the images that they did. But if somebody's page is all blank or half or, 1/3 done, they start feeling like, man, everyone else submitted it and I didn't. And then the next time, if it's empty again, somebody will say, hey, you didn't do it again. The third time they do it.
So sort of like a healthy peer pressure.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it shows that, oh, my friends are doing it. I should follow as well. It's like leading by examples.
If it's a student that's having trouble because of something specific, they also have the ability when they're doing the activity to discuss with their classmates. Like, I'm stumped on this. I can't think of something. What kinds of things did you use? So if they're not putting something down for a reason, there's ways to work around it. But I tell my students, not doing things is always an option, but those aren't the people that are going to get opportunities to do the cool things.
Right. Well put, Miss Valeria over there. And I think, yes, do encourage more. You see, the way that Valeria suggested just now to really like showcase some of the students' work is to give them credit, to appreciate their work, and then to always encouragement, give praises, and then give encouragement to them. Then they would really, for every other work, they will be very, very willingly to do it for you and do it for themselves as well, from their heart as well.
Yeah.
Okay, I think any other questions from the teacher side, and also from Jay?
And I guess Valeria, when you were mentioning about students, especially in your class, utilizing sketchnoting as a tool to take notes, right? Would you be able to share with us at the start of the class, how do you start to develop the culture of sketchnoting, especially for students who just met you and they were first being introduced to the realm of sketchnoting? How would you slowly introduce the culture to allow them to have the sketchnoting as part of their daily puzzle in taking notes in school?
So I will have that next week, because my 3rd grade students I've never had. And so I have sketch notes around my class of different things, of why astronauts need plants in space. I have some sketch notes on reasons why, I forget right now, but I have another sketch in the back of the class of reasons why. I have the poster of the visual, the eye, that I showed at the beginning of the presentation. I have that poster in the back of my class as well. The way I introduce it is by doing it. So the first day I have my icon in the middle, the same that I used for our presentation. I'm a mom, I'm a daughter, I'm a teacher, I like space. I put that icon up, and then I give them a circle with some lines, and I tell them, write your name and write something about yourself on these lines. I don't tell them to draw, I just tell them to write. And some of them, because they saw the drawings on mine, will draw on theirs. And when they do that, I'll tell them, oh, I love your sketch notes. And they'll be like, what's that? And I'll be like, oh, what you just did. You mixed words with pictures and you made sketch notes. And then I'll keep showing them. They have the name activity where they have the box and the name. And I tell them, you can write or draw what your name means. And in any activity that we're doing, I will tell them, write your vocabulary word, write the definition, draw an image, draw anything that helps you to remember this word. Well, but I don't know what to draw. Anything that helps you to remember the definition. And so little by little, and anytime I see it on their paper, I'll say, oh, I love your sketch notes. Oh, I love your icon. and I'll model it on the board.
Learning by example, I guess, from there. Yeah, I guess the interesting fact as well, when we're looking at some of the top engineers around the world from history, like Leonardo da Vinci, a lot of their notes are very sketchnoting based, very visual, and they have a lot of graft putting in across. So teachers, if you are able to have a look at Leonardo da Vinci's sketchnoting, you will be very curious to find out that, wow, some of the top scientists and engineers around the world actually utilizes sketchnoting as part of their part and parcel in taking notes.
It's part of the engineering design process.
Yes.
Mm.
Yep. So teachers, if you have any other questions for Miss Valeria over here, and I guess while we are at it, it's also cool to introduce Miss Valeria's Instagram page. Would you so just let me share my screen over here. So for teachers, so at the first time when I saw Miss Valeria's Instagram page, I was in awe of the amount of sketchnoting and the amount of work that she has really put into. I guess this is sort of like your life work. Would I be able to say that, Valeria?
Yeah.
So there are sketches from webinars, book summaries on science. So teachers, do definitely check out her Instagram page over here. Maybe Wenping, if we can share it on the Zoom chat over here. Yeah, so it's sort of like a well-versed diversity of different topics that you've put in together on your.
If you click on the Innovator's Compass.
This over here.
Yeah, that one is really great. A really great tool because it allows you to think, like use design thinking. It allows you to be creative. It allows you to, for example, in the middle, you have people of who's involved in whatever situation you're looking at or thinking about, and then you make observations. So for example, with sketchnoting, you can make observations about the sketches that people have done or icons that are around you. And then you think of principles, like what matters most, like what's the function, what's the goal, what's most important. And then ideas is, if you have all the time in the world, what would you use to represent an image, or what would you use to represent a concept? And experiments is like, what's a step you're willing to try? What's a drawing? What's an image that you're willing to create to identify that? So Innovator's Compass is a really awesome tool.
Okay. And for books and conferences, is it sort of like a habit for you that you would immediately sketchnote all of the informations from any talks or books that you have just read through?
Well, I have a hard time listening without a pencil in my hand or a pen. So anytime I am interested in a topic, I'm writing. And sometimes at conferences, I get invited to do that specifically. But if I'm at a conference and I didn't get invited to, if I'm just participating in the conference, I sketch anyway, and I go to the presenters afterwards and I say, hey, this is what I gathered from your session. And most of the time they're like, please, would you share that with me? Would you give that to me? And that's how I've gotten a few projects and gigs. And I share that with my students too, because I tell them, like, you can't just apply for work. Sometimes you have to create the job that you want. Like, I would love to sketch for NASA. So anytime there's a conference, a space conference, I sketch and I send them my stuff, and maybe one day I'll be sketching for them.
Right, and before we forget that, there's actually a self-authored book that you have created recently. Would you be able to share with us before we end the session for today? And would you be able to tell us a little bit about what the book is about, and what was the intention of creating the book?
So this one was actually, I published it in 2012. It's old now. But the purpose of this book was to capture where my son was in his journey. This is my son, and the book is called How They Get in There. And when he was around 2, he would look, we lived in LA and my family lived everywhere else. So he would look at the phone, and when we'd hang up with my dad, he'd be like, uh-oh, abuelo, like, where'd he go? Or when I'd close the computer, he'd open it and like look for my sister, and he didn't talk that much, but he'd go, uh-oh, tia, like, where did my aunt go? And so in the book, it's about how it's in his voice, and he says, my parents tell me I have friends and family all over the world, but they don't feel that far. And it shows him like looking in the phone and looking in the computer and like asking himself like how'd they get in there. And at the end of the story, he realizes that they always feel close, like they never feel that far because they're in his heart. And it doesn't matter how or when they got in there, but people that you love will always find a way to be connected.
Right. I think definitely it's a great book to have, definitely for teachers and also
that was my son.
parents. Yeah. Wow. Our teacher, you look quite tan over there. Like probably
Well,
from some beaches.
I lived on the beach.
Right. So is it available to purchase from Malaysia?
It's
For now?
not available. Last I think we checked, it's not available in Malaysia.
So probably you will open up in the future.
But when I go, I can take books.
Yeah. So probably we have a face-to-face session, next year, the improving sketchnoting 2.0. Yes, we will probably have the physical books over.
And
Yes.
and I think everyone has a book inside them. So we can do a book workshop.
Yes, definitely. So well put, Miss Valeria. And with that, I think we can have the very, very last session with the last announcement over here. But before that, we want to grab this opportunity to thank Miss Valeria very, very much for this sharing session. So all the teachers, you can put in the chat and say, give your appreciation, give your gratefulness show your gratefulness and appreciation to Miss Valeria here. Thank you so much, Valeria, for joining in today and share with us with all the basic techniques of sketchnoting.
And we're finally on the same day. It's Saturday now.
Yeah, that is very much appreciated as well, because you stay up so late for us, just for us, right?
Yeah.
And yes. And thank you so much, Miss Valeria. And in 1 or 2 words, teacher, you can give some feedback. What do you think about today's session? 1 or 2 words. Describe what do you think about today's session for you? Right, in 1 or 2 words. Is it like useful? Is it like beneficial? Right. Yes. So a lot. Some teachers say amazing, interesting, wow, WOW, awesome, mind blowing. Yes. Thank you so much for your feedback. And hopefully, teachers, when you go back to your classroom, you can start incorporating or applying bit by bit, right? Bit by bit. You can go and process today's notes, go and process today's techniques, and then apply to your classroom very, very soon. So before we call it day, I will make just a quick announcement about what's going to happen next, right? So teachers, bear with me for a while before we go for lunch, right? So very simple. Today's we have the second expert sharing session. We still have 3 more. So mark your calendar for the next Saturdays in the future. All right. So yes, wait a while, teacher, before we go, right? And I want to make a very quick announcement about the Creative Learning Olympic as well. Creative Learning Olympic, which is around the corner, which we will be holding the briefing session very, very soon. So teacher, do stay tuned in the Telegram group as well, right? Do stay tuned in the Telegram group as well. We will be holding the creative learning Score A Olympic very, very soon. So what is the best method for your students to apply these sketchnoting methods by Miss Valeria today? It is through this competition. Probably one of the criteria or one of the testing format is by sketchnoting. So do share with your students how to sketchnote, the basic of it, right? What to explore in the sketchnoting part. Right, so the 10 creative learning techniques is also very useful in the competition as well. We use the green and environment preservation topics in our competition. And then the preliminary round will start very, very soon in September. So do stay tuned in the Telegram group. And don't forget, these are the prizes that we will be having for your students up until 2,500 ringgit cash prize for the champion up for grab, right? So there's a workshop, which is the creative learning workshop, and also the briefing session about the format, the competition format, and so on and so forth. So don't miss out on this session. We will give you an announcement very soon next week about the date. And there's a registration link for your students to fill in, And also there's a Zoom link. You will need teachers' help to share with your students as well. Right, so register today. I will give you the registration link if, let's say, you haven't registered, right, for this competition. Right, register today. We will have the briefing session very, very soon. Right, 10 to 12 years old, 13 to 16 years old for this competition. Okay, one last announcement. We have already had our first expert sharing last week by Mr. Zaid. The sharing link the YouTube link will also be shared once again in the Telegram. And today we have Miss Valeria. We are very honored to have this Miss Valeria session today. And a lot of teachers have sketched their own style as well, experimenting, explore in the Telegram group as well. Very, very awesome session from Miss Valeria. So the YouTube link will also be shared in the Telegram. So teachers, feel free, can share with other teachers. And also you can also revisit this session as well. So coming up next, we have Mr. Louis Cheng, education YouTuber. We have Dr. Savita, University Technology Petronas, lecturer and HDRF trainer and career coach. We have Mr. Javier Montel, Top 100 World Visionary, Top 100 World Leaders in Education coming up next. So these are the calendar. You can mark your calendar for these dates every Saturday, 9:30 to probably 11:30 or 12, right? You see, Miss Valeria have a lot of great content to share with teachers. So probably 1.5 hours is definitely not enough. So teachers do allow more time before for these sessions as well, right? So there you go. This is the calendar for the expert sharing session. So do share with other teachers as well the YouTube links for the first session and second session. And do remember, once you completed 5 sessions, we will give you a form to fill in 5 sessions, register the attendance form. Then you will have the sigil. You have the certification of participation. Right, certificate of participation. You have to complete all 5 sessions, then we'll give out the certificate for you. Do you need to watch live to get the certificate? No, you can watch the recordings as well via the YouTube links. Yes, Madam Ong, you can watch the video after the school workshop, right? Yes, still entitled for the cert when you watch the YouTube link as well. Okay, there you go. So just want to have a quick feedback from all the teachers. They are still there over here. Would you want to join the next session, the session like this, beneficial session for you by Mr. Louis Cheng next week? So if you will join us next week, type in yes. Or if you would watch the recording, type in yes as well. Yes. So yes, get your commitment ready already. Thank you so much for your commitments. Thank you so much for willing to join us today and also the coming session as well. Right. So I think that is the end of the session. Right. Before we end of the session, maybe we can take a quick photo with Miss Valeria before she go to bed. Right. So a quick photo session with Jay, with Valeria, and with all the teachers over here. Really, really grateful. Really, really nice meeting all of you again in this very, very wonderful session. So teachers, feel free to switch on your video and put on your best smile, your morning smile, right, in this photo shoot session. Very, very quickly, I'll take the screenshots over here. Right. Any other teachers joining us with the video? Right. Okay. Okay, there we go. Some teachers are slowly switching on the video, right? Okay, wow, some teachers are outdoor joining us, right? Awesome. Okay, in 3, 2, 1, we'll take a quick photo. Maybe we take two, one with a thumbs up, the other one with love. Any post would do, right? First one, 1, 2, 3. And second, 1, 2, 3. There you go. There you go. Thank you so much, teachers. And once again, thank you so much, Miss Valeria, for this awesome session today. Hopefully, really, we can have another session from you probably next year also, well, probably a physical one as well, right?
Yes, I want to go to Malaysia.
Yes, we talked about nasi lemak the other just now, right? And also some teachers here are very willing to host you as well because many teachers love traveling together as well. They are willing to be your tour guide. I saw from the chats as well. So yes. There you go.
Okay, I guess Wenbing's voice sort of he got very excited. So Wenbing, we can't hear your voice, but however, it'll be awesome to have you over here in Malaysia and to learn sketchnoting from you from face to face. We've been dying to have a lot more face to face session over here. Teacher Mas was saying rendang, so we might actually bring you for a tour or a food tour, and probably you can sketchnote all of the best food over here in Malaysia.
That's an awesome idea.
We can go
is
on
still
a
muted
field
for some
trip.
reason. I'm not sure why.
If there's a big conference, we can go on a field trip and all of us sketch the conference together.
Yes, that would be very, very an awesome idea. Valeria, can you hear my voice, by the way?
Mhm.
Okay. So yes, Teacher Liao is saying I like it, and then Cikgu Ma say rendang satay more. Please visit us in Malaysia. Very excited. I think teachers all are very, very welcoming, and give Teacher Valeria a very, very warm welcome over here. So yes, that is the end of the session already. I think do say goodbye and take care to Teacher Valeria, or maybe good night, because she is about to go to bed. But
Yeah.
before we end the session, before I end the session over here, I think I would want to invite maybe 2 or 3 teachers to share with us your feedback. If let's say you are willing to, right? Like I said before, this like a teh tarik session. Teh tarik is another very famous tea in Malaysia. But for Valeria's information, right? So we always like say if we want to like have a chit chat, we chit chat over teh tarik, chit chat over tea, right? Have a like coffee in Colombia. It's something like that, right? So any teachers is willing to have this teh tarik session, do share with us. Do share with me and okay. Do share with me and okay, right? For example, probably I invite Madam Ong once again to share with us the feedback for this session because your video is still up. So normally I randomly pick, right? Oh, okay. Madam Ong is okay, right? How about teacher Ismailiza? I saw your video is on, and teacher Suryati, is it okay? Right? Is it okay? Boleh stay back sekejap untuk share sikit lah. Okay. Terima kasih Cikgu Suryati. Ada cikgu lain boleh stay back pun boleh stay back untuk sekejap. Yes, okay. Macam Cikgu Roxy, Teacher Roxy is saying Malaysia is hub of international foods. Yes. Local foods in Malaysia very. I think teachers are very excited when we talk about food. That is our national pride. Okay, so we have Teacher Suryati and Teacher Madam Ong will stay back for a while to share with us. And for the rest of the teachers, for all of you, you may proceed to leave the Zoom already. That is the end of our expert sharing session today by Miss Valeria. So once again, thank you, Miss Valeria. And then we can say a very warm goodbye. Take care to Miss Valeria over here and all other teachers. Thank you. See you. Goodbye. Take care.
Bye.
Goodbye. Other than Teacher Suryati and Madam Ong, other teachers may feel free to stay back as well to listen in, right, to this teh tarik session. Okay, so first of all, I think we will have Teacher Suryati dulu. Teacher Suryati dulu, and saya boleh unmute kan? Okay. Cikgu dapat unmute tak?
Okey. Hai.
Selamat tengah hari cikgu.
Selamat tengah hari juga.
Cikgu dari sekolah mana ya?
Saya daripada Sekolah Kebangsaan Seri Medan, Batu Pahat, Johor.
Oh, wah, all the way kat Johor . Wah, so banyak negeri lah, banyak negeri yang berbeza yang join pada hari ini. So cikgu ajar subjek mana ya?
Saya ajar subjek matematik.
Dah berapa tahun?
Matematik. So yang lain saya sejarah.
I see. So Cikgu Surati nak tanya macam mana cikgu rasa tentang bengkel ataupun sesi perkongsian hari ini?
Okey, sangat seronok. Sebab kita dapat ilmu baru daripada pakar-pakar. Sebenarnya dua kali kita dah 2 minggu ni kan, 2 kali kita dapat mengikuti. Dia dapat muka minda kita lah. Macam saya lebih kepada subjek math. Jadi saya masih lagi belum betul-betul orang kata menguasai lagi. Sebab bagaimana saya nak implementkan dalam matematik kan. Kalau macam kita tengok yang saya nampak macam sejarah tu saya dah mulalah. Saya dah ajar murid saya kata cuba visualize kan apa yang mereka faham daripada tajuk tu. Kalau ikutkan sejarah tu kan macam panjang nak ingat. Jadi cara nak visualize macam mana. Cuma dari segi konsep macam kata nak melukis. Ada murid kita maksud saya lah tak pandai melukis. Nak lukis benda lain jadi benda lain kan. Jadi situ mungkin saya kena improve lagi lah. Tapi kalau teknik tu memang sangat menarik lah. Cuma saya nak implement dia kepada matematik tu saya masih lagi belum mahir lagi. Tapi untuk lain tu saya rasa sangat menarik lah. Memang seronok lah perkongsian macam ni. Kalau for the next, kalau dapat implement untuk subjek direct terus macam matematik tu, lagi best lah. Macam tu.
Okay. So tadi cikgu ada cakap mungkin murid yang cakap tak pandai lukis, memang sesi hari yang pentingnya galakkan mereka untuk cuba saja. Bukan yang tu nak lukis macam benda tu ataupun perlu cantik, mesti ikutlah kreativiti mereka sendiri kan.
Betul.
So cikgu akan adakan macam bengkel ataupun adakan satu sesi tak kat sekolah untuk tunjukkan sketchnoting ni kepada murid-murid?
Ya. Kalau setakat ni saya buat untuk kelas-kelas saya yang saya mengajar. Lepas tu saya tengah mengumpul lagi untuk mengikuti slot yang seterusnya. Lepas tu nanti saya akan berkongsi dengan lebih ramai lagi. Termasuk dengan guru dan murid-murid di sekolah saya.
Baik, okey, terima kasih cikgu. Apa dengan itu bengkel yang tu creative learning Olympic, cikgu akan masukkan semua murid tak untuk join competition ni?
Okey, setakat ni yang saya betul-betul ni 14 orang. Okey, nanti saya akan daripada semasa ke semasa saya akan cari lagi lah. Contoh saya nak macam murid nanti akan present dia kan hari tu kita ada belajar macam 10 teknik, contoh macam flashcard ke guna pen warna-warni ke kan. Kemudian antara kita pilih teknik-teknik tersebut kan, lepas tu tambahan dengan yang sekarang ni nak cara macam mana kan, itu kan maksudnya.
Ya. So cikgu
pertandingan tu.
Boleh masukkan semua murid je. Boleh saya cadangkan jadikan satu pertandingan dalam sekolah ke ataupun macam tu. Sebab peringkat pertama, peringkat pertama sangat simple, ada mungkin multiple choice, sikit subjektif, lepas tu mungkin buat mind maps macam tu. So semua murid boleh cuba.
Macam itu saya ingatkan macam contoh setiap murid dia kena macam yang dia akan present kan, betul, kita kena hantar video ke, saya fikir
itu lepas ni mungkin peringkat yang seterusnya. So semua murid lah, tak kira pernah present ke tak pernah present ke, semua boleh masuk dulu, semua boleh cuba peringkat pertama.
Okey, kalau macam tu tahap 1 dan tahap 2 boleh kan semua?
Tahap 1 sekolah rendah berapa? 10 hingga 12 tahun.
Mana tahap 2 lah.
Tahap 2, ya.
Okey. Boleh. Murid saya dalam total dalam 400, dalam 200 orang lah.
Yes. Okey, sangat terima kasih kepada Cikgu Surati tentang feedback dan komen tadi. Harap-harap ada anak murid lah yang masuk ke peringkat yang seterusnya untuk Creative Learning Olympic ini. Okey, terima kasih. Terima kasih Encik Surati. Bolehlah pergi makan tengah hari lah. Okey, selamat mencapai selera. Okay, next up, I will invite, let's have Madam Ong to be with us. And Teacher can unmute yourself. There you go.
Okay. All right. Yes. Good
Hi,
afternoon.
teacher. Hi, teacher. See you again. Very nice
Yeah.
to see you again.
Yes.
I think
Thank you.
teacher previously participate the art experience instead, right? Not the creative learning.
Yeah, not the creative. That's why when last week when I heard you talk about the Olympic, so I got excited. Actually, that's why I signed up. I wanted to know more. It's just that I don't know when is it and the timing, but I will share this competition with my students. So right now, since I already completed the arts experience and my students also got the certificates ready, and
Mhm.
also I already shared the competition about this the Olympic one in my school Facebook. I told
I
the
see.
parents, I gave them the information so that they can sign in anytime. I share the link to them because sometimes when we tell the parents, like they don't know, but sometimes when we share in the school account, they will like, maybe they will just join in on their own. That's why I hope my
Right.
students, they will join in on the sessions. But I want to know like, when is it so that I will remind them again.
Right. Thank you so much, teacher. But teacher, actually, do you like teach maths and science as well? Or are all these like math
No,
science students?
no,
So you
I'm
only
not.
teach art lah.
I'm a music teacher. I'm a music
Ah,
teacher, but my elective is arts. So this year they give me 5 classes of arts. So I'm like so excited. Okay, it's my time to teach arts because actually I have the certificate in arts. It's just that I don't get arts. Normally they give me English. That's why like this year
ah,
when I was given when I'm given like arts class, 5 classes for year 4. So I'm very excited. So I'm like, okay, everything you all join. And then like, I
yes,
like
yes.
this Valeria sessions because I found out one of my students very good in doodling. So I'm like, oh yeah, that's the time is coming. So I'm going to tell the girl to sign up. And also we are going to have this doodle arts note-taking competition at my school during my arts class.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, it's
yes.
very
All
interesting.
to I really like glad teachers even like from art PSV background also joining in, not just maths and science. So because the overall topic is about green preservation, so all students can join in. So teachers over here do encourage all students to join in as long as they are within the age range. So Madam On, just want to ask overall, what do you think about today's session by Miss Valeria?
Oh, it's amazing. And I really like luckily I joined her sessions. I never regret like I stay here for 3 hours because it's really fruitful. And also it's a booster to all the arts teacher, I would say that. That's why even though like you only share the link to me, but I always share this link with all my parents and also all my school teachers. Because to me, it's like this is something like we don't have to pay and really learn a lot. We really learn something which is very fruitful and it's very useful. As I when I went through the sessions, like I like recall, when I was studying at school, I love to draw. In my notes is like you can always see like drawing and colors and always like different fonts, and it's very useful. Actually, I think a lot of people nowadays like doodle arts become very important and also become popular. Just like what Valeria said, that if you can draw it on the wall, I think like the students, like even the teachers will get excited if they can see their drawing on the wall. Just imagine that, oh, my
Yes,
drawing is on the wall. Yeah,
definitely.
it's very useful. I will say that. Yeah, it's
It's
interesting.
definitely a new way to connect with each other using doodling, using art, right? And a lot of YouTube
Yes,
videos is actually using sketches, fast-paced sketches to actually explain. That's a very, very new trend right now. So thank you
yes,
so much,
yes.
Madam Ong, to really share with other teachers. That is really, really what we want to see as well. Share with other
Yeah,
teachers the YouTube links from Mrs. Zaid, from Miss Valeria, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, finally, actually want to ask Madam Ong, if let's say you want to like share with other teachers, what are the 3 main key takeaways from today's session? What would you tell them actually?
Yeah, I will tell them this is something for very international. And then teacher Valeria is very knowledgeable, and she's very informative, and she has a passion. Just like when we say the computer is user friendly, I would say Valeria is just like a Bible, and she gives us a lot of stuff, and then it's very clear. It's not like rushing. She will try her best to explain and in details and slowly. I think this is like how to say, like, it's unforgettable. I will say that is so fruitful for today's session.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, teacher. So Yes, that is our sharing session. Thank you so much, Madam Ong, and hopefully the Creative Learning Olympic, you have students joining in as well. Like Young
Of
Artists
course.
Award, you also like participative like a lot.
Yeah,
So
I'll make sure I will complete the 5 sessions. Just like I asked just now, because the next 2 weeks my school it got events, so I will watch the video after that. After my school workshop, I come back, I will do.
okay,
But
so thank you
I
so
don't
much,
want to
Madam
miss
Ong.
it. I don't want to miss it. Oh,
It's okay, definitely. So
Yeah.
for all those teachers who are still here, do fill in the feedback form for Miss Valeria today. So the feedback form will be in Telegram group in very short while. So thank you so much, teacher, and terima kasih banyak kepada cikgu semua yang masih berada di sini. Saya ucapkan selamat menjabut selera. You have a great lunch later. We will see you next week, next Saturday, same time, 9:30 a.m. All right. So I will wish all of you a very great weekend as well. So see you, take care, and goodbye. I will end the Zoom session right now.